Well, hello there. Welcome to the Claw and the King podcast. I'm joined by my co-host. What's your name again? Oscar. That's it, Oscar. Thank you for being here, my friend. Terrible week in the world of sports if you're me, but if you're Oscar, it's slightly better because you're a Glory football fan. But anyway, we'll get into all the different sports that have happened with... I don't know why I looked so flamboyant. I was like, slay, sister. I don't know why. I don't know why I was acting like that. But anyway,
it's Pride Week, isn't it? Or
yeah, it is actually Pride Month, and we had a Pride experience recently, which was very enjoyable. But we'll go into that later on. So yeah, there's many sports that have sort of happened over the week. Not to my pleasure, most likely, or most evidently by my overexcited demeanor, which is trying to hide the insecurities and the pain in my heart. But anyway, what sport do you reckon we should hit first, my friend?
Let's hit a bit of
basketball. I thought you were going to say let's hit BITCH. I'm like, let's hit a...
Let's hit a... Nah.
Yeah, I don't swear on the show,
me
by
at
the way,
least.
so obviously I wouldn't say that vulgar word. But anyway, what were you going to say?
Yeah, let's hit some basketball. All right, NBA, National Basketball. More importantly, the NBL Finals. That's what's on everyone's mind.
An NBL player actually is moving to the Washington Wizards.
Yeah, and when we went to that game, I was like, MVP, he's the MVP, he's really good. And you're like, he's trash, and now he's going to the NBA.
Yeah, but he was trash in that game. But he's probably going to be the 15th man. But, I mean, congrats. He's doing a lot better than in his life.
He's made it there at 27 years of age.
God. Good on him. Who was that baller that was on the other team? He was like a 2K, he's a 2K my player. I mean, he literally had accessories up to the bins. He had leg sleeves, armbands, tattoos, headband. He was full on, and he was doing sham god. He was just a lovely player to watch. I hope he makes it to the NBA. But anyway, so what kind of basketball would you like to discuss? There's been on the field stuff, or on the court stuff, and off the field sort of shenanigans.
Yeah, we can start with off the field, obviously. Yeah. I guess the biggest news recently is one player out of Memphis, Ja Morant. Obviously,
he's leaving.
He's
on that midnight train to Memphis.
Yeah, he had an Instagram live for his fans a few days ago, where he brandished his prized possession, and I believe he calls it his piece.
Well, Kyle Walker, funny enough, on the Man City team, brandished a different type of piece in a busy bar, but that's a different conversation for a different day. This was it's not, would you say it's more acceptable than the piece that Kyle Walker brandished?
Well, I mean, we've seen things that Kyle Walker's done before. I guess in Australia that's more common.
Yeah, Todd Carney, that's an everyday.
Mitchell Pearce, that sort of stuff.
Come on, that's just standard.
But yeah, like guns aren't very common over here. So, I mean, Ja Morant, from all accounts, he didn't really grow up in the hood. So,
yeah, he went to private school. He had a stable home. He was had a very nice childhood, apparently. And obviously, different people. You don't know for certain people's childhoods and stuff. People have different experiences in their own private lives. However, there's a lot of comments recently about sort of his actions, about how he's the first player to make it out of the league into the streets. You got to make it out the league.
Well, he's trying to bring the streets to the league.
Yeah,
I think he's trying to make a street league.
And I think a lot of people have commented on this, and it's when you watch the videos, it's so ungenuine. It's so I hate the word cringy, but it's cringy. You just can't help but cringe at the videos because it's so disingenuous. It's not his life. You're literally an NBA star who's never been in the streets or been in that gang life, and you're brandishing weapons. You're hanging around with, very questionable individuals. It's just weird, mate. What are you doing? Why is that something that you want to be? You're literally living every kid's dream, and you're sitting there going, you know what? Let's throw that away. Let's not do that, shall we? Basketball's a side hustle. The main hustle is in these streets.
The main hustle is intimidating people, all right?
Oh, yeah, 100%. 17-year-old kids is main sort of victims in that sort of area.
I kind of liken it to Nate Diaz. If you remember Nate Diaz,
but he's
Conor
from
McGregor.
the streets.
I know, but Conor made that famous roast. He makes gang signs with one hand and animal balloons with the other.
That was a good accent, by the way. Good Irish accent.
So because you see like the videos of Ja Morant hanging out with all the kids, giving them shoes, all that sort of stuff. So he does seem like he's doing good stuff, but then he's just lost it a bit off the courts, and apparently his dad, who's very young for a dad, he's basically he's basically one of the boys. He's not really his dad.
Yeah, you could see it. He's just trying to he's grittying on the court. Like, it's just so weird. And I think the Memphis Grizzlies obviously now are probably the most hated team in the NBA.
Oh,
We've been on them for a while. Okay, we were early on that bandwagon. Let's
see Draymond Green's Dylan Brooks comments.
Yeah. I mean, we've hated the Grizzlies for a while. And while the media and everyone was like, "Oh, the Grizzlies! Look at these XG stats. Look at these stupid fucking stats. Look at these regular season wins. They're frauds." We all knew they were frauds, but you just didn't listen to us sooner. That's just I was just there.
The real knowledge here.
Yeah, of course. But more on the Ja Morant thing. It's just so sad to see an athlete throw this unbelievable opportunity that he has away, for brandishing guns and intimidating young kids. It's just really stupid stuff. And, you see DeMar DeRozan, who lived in the streets, who literally grew up, allegedly, but he grew up essentially in a gang. And he
seems like one of the nicest dudes.
But he's out of there. He's doing well. He does stuff for the community. He's in Chicago now. He's, he turned his life around. This guy just doesn't seem... He wants to seem to do the opposite, which is just so backwards. It's just such a backward thinking thing. It's just, the cringe. And Dylan Brooks as well. I mean, he's a fucking cringe lord as well. I mean, what is he on?
He is. Well, he's just cringe because his basketball's cringe to me.
Well, yeah, he's a terrible player, but he acts like he's boss. And then Ja Morant early in the year, we're good in the West. Brother, you haven't made it out the West yet. You haven't even made it to the conference finals yet. What are you harping on about? We're good in the West, bro. We've dominated. It's like that. Like if Steph Curry said that, you'd be like, okay, we're good in the West.
I mean, even still, there's legitimately 10 teams in the West, so
nobody's good in the West.
Yeah,
it's like if friggin' Anthony Davis was like, we're good in the West, boys. We're good in the West.
He would have got flamed if he said that.
Yeah, he would have got absolutely flamed, but because Ja said it, and he's fucking cool. He gets a pass on it. But yeah.
I think the problem with Memphis is...
also as well, sorry to cut you off, but people don't know if outside of America how bad the gun violence is in Memphis. And I think that's what a lot of sort of media personalities are sort of pushing out now, is that, especially the ones that live in America, know how bad the gang violence is in America, especially in Memphis, and how bad it is to that community, how he's just sort of glorifying that life, which is such a bad life. And I think a lot of kids don't realize how bad of a life it is. And we've obviously never experienced that life, and we never understand how to comprehend or explain that life in a meaningful way. But we do know that it's just, his influence is so great on that young generation of NBA fans. It's just a terrible influence to have. And he's a terrible influence at the moment. You can't say anything else. He's just an awful influence on the young generation of NBA fans, from being the darling child of the NBA, being the future of the NBA, essentially. Massive contracts from sponsorships, as well as a $200 million contract from the Memphis Grizzlies. But now I'm sure the NBA wants to get rid of him, and it'll be interesting to see. Get rid of him permanently, I don't think so, but short term, I think he should be suspended 50 games.
I mean, obviously people are drawing comparisons to Gilbert Arenas back in the day. Where I think he brought a gun to a game or something.
And, he threatened to shoot his teammate. It was a different situation.
But yeah, I think he got suspended 50 games. And I saw him commenting on it, and he was like, Ja, I'm sorry, mate, but you're just...
it's like, of course they got Gilbert Arenas to comment on this.
For 3 years, brother, this is your image. You're going to have to wait 3 good years before they call you a superstar again. And I think just the problem with Memphis, how it's all got to this, is they have constructed their roster wrong. Where they've got a lot of good young players for the regular season, but they've got zero vets. Steven Adams is the oldest dude on that team. He's 29, and he's not really a vocal leader. They've had players like Iguodala on that team who they fucked off. They've had Danny Green who they fucked off because obviously the young guys don't want to listen to them. And it just shows that there is no leader or vet on that team that's showing these young guys how you're meant to do
Well,
it.
apparently Steven Adams did have like a team talk
Yeah.
with them about, and it was obviously directed at Jars, like, hey, we have a 12-20 away record. We need to stop fucking partying and pissing about when we're on our road trips. And then that night, Ja Morant goes out and brandishes the gun in the club.
Yeah.
It's just like, it is clearly, it's just when egos go to shit. This is player. I don't think it's player power necessarily, but I just think it's these sort of players, this group of players who is just embodied such a toxic sort of culture within them. And even though they're winning games, it's just so toxic and it's so unlikable from a neutrals fan's perspective. So yeah, I don't know where they go from here personally.
Yeah, well, I mean, I saw someone say they should sign Carmelo Anthony, which it does make sense to me because Carmelo also had a similar situation early in his career with David Stern, I believe, who was the commissioner at the time, where Melo was in some, dealings outside of the NBA, and David Stern was like, "Listen, mate, we know everything. We're basically connected to the Feds, so either if you want to be the NBA, you got to fuck all this off." And he's sort of become, a fan favorite, one of the most trusted and respected players, although he's out of the league at the moment. I think that would be a great. I think that would be a great signing, not for basketball reasons, but just to show some leadership. And
No, I don't think Carmelo's ever been a leader.
I think he has in Portland. I think he was great. Obviously, in LA, he didn't need to because everyone was already 40 years old. But
but in New York,
but he's matured since then. Like New York, he was the star. So
I don't know. I'd think about maybe different veteran leaders, but again, I don't think that locker room will accept them. I think they won't accept another player. It's like even if Memphis wanted to go out and trade for like a Kevin Durant or something, they'd be like, nah, we got this. We don't want any outsiders. It's like, it kind of has that kind of feeling to it. Like,
I feel like it's a pattern with young players as well, because we've seen John Wall talk about how they're going about it in Houston. The young guys are doing it all wrong.
well, I mean, let's be real. John Wall he isn't the beacon of light, is he? He's probably the laziest player I've ever seen in my life.
No, but it is sort of a recurring pattern that the young players coming through.
Well, yeah, I do think it's it's sort of that star, that ego that they get early in the league. I mean, Jalen Green. It's just, I think back in the day, obviously rookies got a lot more sort of preferential treatment, unless you were the guy, unless you were Shaq, unless you were LeBron, you were not getting superstar treatment right from the get go.
Even still, like Shaq tells stories of getting roasted,
but he never did any rookie things. He was just like, there's just no rookie hazing. There's no any of that, because the GMs are looking at it like, well, we got to get younger and younger and younger. We got to maximize the amount we can, you got to maximize the playing career of these guys, of our team. And it's just like you end up with it. Houston's another, like, well, you said Houston, it's a bad situation. I mean, you watch that Houston team. I mean, it's dreadful basketball, absolutely dreadful basketball. You feel bad for Steven Silas. I mean, Jalen Green just chucks up the most stupid shots, and then him and Kevin Porter, it's just such a bad combination. But because they're young, they've got talent, they're seen as, future great players, so you can't say anything bad about them, or you've got to play them 38 minutes a night. And it's just, they just get given this star treatment way too young. I don't think that's the case in Memphis necessarily. I think it's a different sort of case, because I think a lot of those guys was maybe under the radar sort of second round picks that, they just sort of their grind is, there's not other than Ja, there isn't a 25 point per game scorer. There's just a bunch of good solid players. But I think if I'm the league, I suspend him to the end of the season. At least. I mean, you cannot have this. I mean, I'm not saying that just because my team's competing in the West and I want us to go against the Memphis Grizzlies in the playoffs. That's not what I'm saying, even though that would be nice. I just think from a moral perspective, you've got to look at it like you can't let this go unpunished. Otherwise, it'll be consumed by the league, and he could just continue doing it and he'd get no punishment. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll leave that there. We'll see how it unfolds. Obviously, there's an investigation still pending from the NBA, so we'll see what they come up with. I think he's away from the team getting help or whatever he's getting at the moment. So
help.
I think it's like an upgrade for his gun.
Oh yeah, he's shooting range.
He's
He's
got,
shooting range.
He's got, what's that? Bullets that don't make noise.
Silencers.
He's got silencer.
He's got a silencer on. He's just, shooting up clubs. He's just having a good time.
Yeah, so, shout out Ja Morant. Good stuff, mate. Okay, we'll move across to something that was on First Take. I don't know if it was this morning or yesterday. Quite recently, obviously, JJ Redick and Kendrick Perkins were on First Take. They're quite often on the show with Stephen A, and they were talking about the MVP race, where Kendrick Perkins basically insinuated that the MVP race is racist, and the way they give out the award is racist if Jokic wins it again, and he shouldn't win it. And then JJ Redick went on a rant that has now gone extremely viral. I think one of the most viral clips in the history of the show, to be honest, where he just calls out the show, calls out Kendrick Perkins, absolutely flames everyone that has that sort of mentality.
Yeah, I just think it's a terrible mentality to have. I'm on the side of not wanting Jokic to win the MVP, and I think that's clear. Just because I think voter bias should be in account. I think I just think from a legacy perspective, I don't think he should have, he should have 3 and Kobe should have 1. I just think from a moral perspective, I just don't think that sits right. And look, I don't think he should have won back-to-back either, but that's the way it is. He won those other MVPs. I just don't think he should win this one. So I'm on that side. I'm on the side of not giving him the MVP, just to be clear. But to insinuate that it's because of racism that he gets all these plaudits from the MVP, and it's these white, award voters that are giving him the MVP, that's just asinine. I mean, that's just stupid. And he also tried to deny it as well. It's like, I didn't say that. It's like, brother, you said,
stating facts.
It's stating facts. What does Steve Nash, Dirk Nowitzki, and Nikola Jokic have in common? I'm going to leave it up to you. Like, you were clearly insinuating it's because they were white that they won the award. When guys like Derrick Rose, you could argue, didn't deserve.
Derrick Rose didn't deserve it.
He just won it because he was the most exciting player.
I mean, it would have been a black person that won it.
Yeah,
either way. But
well, I don't think it's got anything to do with it. I just think there's MVPs that Steph Curry won it. His first MVP when he was averaging, I think, 23 points a game. He won that first
Westbrook
MVP.
won it.
But because his team won a bunch of games, they won it. And they played great basketball, and they won that year in the finals. And look, it's not a finals award, but I think a lot of people are looking at the efficiency. Look how well he does when they average. They're 24-0 or something when he averages a triple double. He's having an unreal season in terms of impacting their wins in a very tough Western Conference. He's sort of dragged them to the first seed. So, look, I wouldn't say that it's a racism thing at all. I just think it's an over-reliance on or an over-valuation of stats. And not like your typical stats, like on like the extra stats, like the all the
advanced
BS, stats. Like all the advanced stats. And I think that's just how the NBA's gone, and I think it's become more of a numbers game. And I think these voters base it on the numbers, and they don't base it on feeling anymore. And I think that's what the MVP vote used to be. It used to be based on feeling, but now it's not. And I think that's why you've seen Nikola Jokic be in the contention for MVP 3 times in a row.
Well, it does. You see it change literally year on year what the MVP is, and it literally just depends what the media pretty much decide, because that's what they push on all the shows, and then that just becomes the narrative. So sometimes it's scoring, sometimes it's winning, sometimes it's there's so many different things, and it always just changes.
Well, I think Giannis should win it. I think Kendrick made a comment about it maybe a week ago, where he said these European players. Did Draymond say? I think Draymond said that. Sorry, it wasn't Kendrick. It was Draymond. He was on a podcast and he said these European players don't get any criticism for not winning a championship before they've won it. So Jokic doesn't get any slack, or they just don't get any slack before they win it, which is not true at all, because I remember specifically Giannis getting absolutely flamed in the bubble when he lost. I think Dirk Nowitzki when he lost in
07.
When he lost
in 06.
When he lost obviously in the finals against the Heat the first time, but also when he got knocked out in the first round against the Warriors when they were the 1 seed and they were the 8 seed. He got flamed for that as well. So I don't think that's true whatsoever. I just think there is certain voices in that NBA media circle that don't like the European influence. I'm going to say that. And don't like sort of Europeans excelling because it's an American game. I think that's what it is. I think they don't like that's not a race thing or whatever. That's not if they're black or white. That's nothing to do with that. It's to do with they understand that the future of this game is going to be probably Europeans. It's going to be Victor. It's going to be Luka. It's going to be Jokic. It's going to be or potentially international players like Embiid.
Yeah.
So I think that's mainly the thing that they're losing the NBA to international players. I think that's maybe a concern of some of those NBA media personalities that are saying some of this BS. But yeah, to insinuate that it's because of race that Nikola Jokic is winning MVPs is just ridiculous.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think Embiid... I think Embiid just deserves an MVP. Like, if you put his 2 seasons together last year and this year,
well, that's how it used to. That's how it would have been voted on in the past. Like James Harden, when he won, he mainly won, even though people hated his play style and hated.
He won it because of like a 3-season stretch.
Yeah, because of three season stretch where he was. It was like, well, you've got to give him one. He's got to have one MVP.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's how it should be voted for Embiid. I personally would vote Giannis because I just think he's having an unreal year. And I think he's the best player in the NBA. So that's just who my vote would be. But yeah, you could give it to Embiid. You could give it to a bunch of different players. Jokic would probably be in my top 5 of MVP vote getters. But yeah, I wouldn't have him number 1.
Yeah, I reckon JJ Redick is probably the best hire ESPN's made in a while. Even though I don't really agree with some of the stuff he says. And it's... like when he first came on, I was like, "Oh my god, this is incredible! A breath of fresh air." But now it's.
Do you say it to yourself? You're like, "Oh my god, that's so cool! A breath of fresh air."
Yeah, I literally said that to myself.
You said it to yourself,
in the mirror.
You just on the way to work, just in your car. You're like, "Oh my god, JJ Redick's such a breath of fresh air!
What a great hire!" But yeah, I mean, he's coming up with these viral moments. If it's going at Stephen A. or going at Kendrick, he goes at these people, and they,
Well, I think First Take needs it. Firstly, I think. For too long, it's been such a placid show of just like Stephen A. running the show essentially, and they miss Skip.
And even like Mad Dog, like I hated him at first because he's so dumb, but I kind of like him now because he is dumb.
Yeah, but because he sticks by his sentiment of old players rule, new players suck.
It's kind of funny.
And yeah, he sticks by that, and it's a character. You want to have characters on these sports shows, no matter if they're wrong or right. You don't need to necessarily have the best analyst on there. I mean, they've got to have a brain other than Kendrick Perkins, but you want to have someone that obviously articulates, NBA topics well or multiple sports well, and that's also got sort of a different sort of character to different people on the cast. And I think, I just think Stephen A. has been a one-man show for way too long now. So
you can't forget about Molly. It's a 2-person show.
God, how is she not fired? Jeez Louise.
She has to be the worst host ever. In the history of sports television.
It's kind of like, well, we lose Jalen Rose if we fire Molly. So
because when you look at like Skip and Shannon, their show, the girl host they have, she literally says one word
at the start,
introduces the topic. You don't even see or hear her for the next 20 minutes, and then she just ends it. And that's how. Not to like put that sort of job down, but that's how it should be.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I think there's different formats for that. Like there are different sport formats of shows where the host could be more involved in discussion. But when you have 2 big personalities next to each other, you just really need to get out of the way. Like, if you put Skip and Shannon in a room, you just need to get out of the way. If you put Stephen A. and JJ Redick or Stephen A. and Mad Dog in a room, just don't talk. It's not that hard. They'll do the talking. Don't you worry. So yeah, but I think she's been okay recently. I don't think she's been that bad. But yeah, I think Kendrick said obviously there was 80% white voters, which isn't true, of the MVP or the awards. So yeah, that's not true. So I think it was 60% white voters for those awards. But yeah, I just think it's a bad.
If anything, I think those 60% white people would be so woke they would lean towards black people.
No, that's just such a bad statement. I think it's more the fact that those like I said, those voters lean on statistics. It's an analytics league right now. As much as I hate to say it, it's not based on feeling or, how you feel about a player anymore. So yeah, I just think they shouldn't vote on that sort of measure, even though Giannis does lead most of those measures. But I love Giannis, and I think he's having an unbelievable season. That's why I'd vote for him. So yeah, I think that's how it should go personally. But yeah, Kendrick, I don't think he should have been on the show in the first place. But we'll see.
All right, well, we can leave NBA there unless there's anything else you want to touch on.
The Clippers 2-game win streak. Get in there, baby. We just won.
All right.
We beat the Toronto Raptors.
Congrats to the Clippers.
Get in there. Ross, I always had faith in you, buddy. You scored 7 points today.
7 points and 2 rebounds.
Get in there, my son. Get in there. Yeah, he's a great player. I've always supported him. Yeah, we're so winning the championship that it's just so happening. I can just feel it in my bones.
Lakers dead set have a better chance than the Clippers.
No, they don't. Yeah, they do. No one believes that.
Dude, they do.
Stop being a hater. That. No one believes that.
I believe it.
Yeah, you're the only one.
No, everyone believes it.
No, they don't.
Russell and LeBron to come back into this team, that's a winning team.
LeBron was in this team and they were losing.
Yeah, because we had Westbrook.
No, but when you got rid of Westbrook and LeBron was playing.
No, they were winning.
No, they lost.
When?
I can't remember.
Maybe one game, but...
They weren't that great. I think
they're great.
They're not... Okay. I think LeBron and AD are injury prone, so everyone knows they're going to get injured again. So, let's see. You're not winning. I don't know what... I don't know what universe you're in. You're not winning the championship.
Why? Watch it.
I am watching it. You'll have no chance. You have zero chance. I can say that publicly.
I reckon we had 0 chance at the start of the year, and now we have...
Because you got Jared Vanderbilt.
Now we have 65% chance.
You got Jared Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
And Malik Beasley.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right.
And D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, great defense.
And Mo Bamba.
Yeah. Oh, does he even play? I haven't seen him play.
He was injured. He has been playing.
Has he? How many points did he get?
I don't know.
1?
7?
Oh, solid.
10?
Move on.
Formula 1 season kicked off. I don't even know anymore. Was it last week?
Yeah.
Okay. This week just that happened. The first Grand Prix of the season. Obviously, first time you get to see the new cars, the new teams, where everyone's at in the ladder. Obviously, Red Bull took the win, 1-2 very easily. It's going to be a useless season at this point, at least for the championship.
Yeah. It's such a pity that F1 has gone famous after it's gone to shit, essentially. We had one season.
Well, the year it got famous was Lewis versus Max.
Yeah, which was a great season. Which was probably the great... I haven't been a fan for that long. I've been actually a fan since then, so I can't exactly comment. But I'd say from just a math perspective, it's got to be one of the top seasons of all time in terms of F1.
Yeah. Well, from before that, the last great season was probably 2016, which was Nico Rosberg versus Lewis Hamilton.
But yeah, I just think it's just going to be shit. You can just tell. Why hasn't Mercedes done anything? Have you done anything? Oh, we changed the livery back to when it was 3 years ago. Cool, bro.
They've actually gone backwards. They've become the 4th fastest team.
Yeah, good
Somehow
job.
Aston Martin has become good, which is interesting.
Well, they spent a lot of money. They spent, I think, it was top 3 last year they spent on their car. So, I mean, they must be doing something.
That sounds a bit dodgy.
Well, no, they got a billionaire owner, don't they?
But yeah, but there's a salary cap now.
Well... We all know some teams can get out of the salary cap.
Aston Martin, they've been a dodgy team historically. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago they literally copied the Mercedes car, made the identically same car.
That's how you want to win. You copy the good cars.
But they've always been a little bit shady though, and I just don't like that they're good. It doesn't.
Well, I don't think they're going to be that good because they got Lance Stroll.
I mean, it's kind of disappointing that he's in a good car. I mean, he has to be the worst driver ever.
Well, he's never going to leave, is he?
Well, no, he's obviously not. His dad's there, so. But
it's such a weird sport because, you can just nepotism at its fun.
Lance Stroll is a bottom 3 driver on the grid, easy.
Yeah,
but
this guy. It's so funny how he could literally have a 20-year career in F1 just because of nepotism. He could be a professional athlete at the highest level because his dad. That doesn't happen in any other sport. You can, your dad can maybe push you to get you into clubs that you weren't, that other people don't have access to, other trainings that other people don't have access to, but to the top level competition of racing, it's unheard of in any other sport that you can just buy your way into it essentially. Like if Bill Gates bought an F1 team, he could put his son in the car, and he could just have a career for 20 years, and he could just stroll around the park. I mean, I'm sure they put up some regulations after that would happen, but still, it
is sad because I mean, you know, Danny Rick should be in that car.
Don't worry, he's in the Red Bull though. He's in the fastest car on the grid.
He's in the Red Bull simulator.
He's practicing in the fastest car on the grid, so that's cool.
I wonder if he'll ever get to drive it.
Well, yeah, Oscar said some controversial things. Not Oscar Piastri, Oscar here.
No.
How does it feel to share your name with such a devil?
Well, yeah, speaking of Oscars, fuck me, that guy's shit. Which kind of makes me happy, even though he's Australian, because he fucked over Daniel. McLaren fucked over Daniel, and I
don't think it was his fault though. I think he.
Well, I don't think they would have said no to Daniel if he wasn't on board already.
I think
I think they already lined him up before they let Daniel go.
Well, yeah, I think they already wanted to get rid of Daniel, so I don't think that was necessarily the case. But Oscar was suggesting that maybe a Red Bull driver here or there breaks their leg, potentially.
Yeah, well,
so Danny Rick could get in. Not like career ending, maybe season ending though.
Season ending would be great.
Because then he could jump in that car and then win it.
Yeah, and then you have to sign him.
Yeah, of course. Maybe Mercedes get him after Lewis retires, and then he goes to Mercedes.
I think Lewis will retire if Mercedes stay shit. So
I have more chance that he'd go to like a Aston Martin.
What?
Maybe.
I don't see that. I think he retires.
I don't see him going to another team that's not English.
I don't see him going to another team.
Even though Mercedes is German. It's based in England. Who cares? Anyway, so the F1, obviously, a couple of surprises here or there. It was on a ridiculous time for us.
2 a.m. That's just not it, man.
I mean, that's just not it. Oh, no, we're not watching that. I was going to watch another. I was going to stay up and watch something else after that, which is a game that we shall not mention. In regards to football, it shall not be mentioned. I want to sort of put that.
Who shall not be named.
Yeah, it's like Voldemort. You don't say it. You don't. I've not been on Twitter for about a week. I haven't been on YouTube. I haven't touched my phone other than to text him. I literally haven't been near it. I just, even if it's here right now, I feel weird about it being here because I know on Twitter some timeline's going, oh my God, 7-0, 7-0, 7 up. How about you go wash your 7? I don't know whether. Anyway, I'm moving on. But yeah, I thought I was going to stay up and watch the F1 before that horrendous game. But yeah, Oscar decided to call it early.
Me?
Yeah, and then...
it's a Sunday night, dude. Who wants to stay up till 4 a.m. on a Sunday night?
Well, I did, because it was Man United Liverpool. But anyway, the F1, we couldn't get to watch it, so we just watched... Did you watch the replay on Foxtel, or did you...
I watched the KO Mini.
The KO Mini. That's it. They do minis for F1, that's solid. Yeah, I just watched the highlights. So, obviously, who was your surprises, either good or bad, on that race?
Well, it has to be Alonso, I guess, for the surprise, getting a podium in his debut for Aston Martin. Vettel's got to be fucking rolling in his grave right now.
I've had a shit car.
He's retired at the wrong time.
Well, I mean, to be fair, he's done pretty well for himself in terms of cars in his career. So
yeah,
Alonso kind of deserves this.
Alonso has been driving a shit box for 10 years straight.
Yeah, well,
even though he's already won 2 titles, but. Who was the worst driver? I mean, McLaren have to be the worst team from where they were to where they are now.
What did Lando finish 10th, didn't he?
I think he was 11th. I don't think he got points, which is very disappointing from being probably the 3rd fastest car last year. They just finished 4th because Daniel was kind of shit, but we won't mention that. So,
or maybe it was the car. Maybe it's because Lando has a good car. And
well, yeah, that's probably it.
And then Piastri's got the shit car.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And Danny Rick was in it.
But even Lando's shit now. So McLaren have gone backwards. They've completely fucked it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how that American geezer at the top is fired yet.
That guy's a menace. In Drive to Survive, that guy just made me hate him. Well, he made me hate him by being annoying.
Good English.
Yeah.
Play. So yeah, I think that's probably obviously the bad surprise.
Haas, they're shit.
Yeah, Haas is probably my bad surprise. I wanted the boys to do well.
Surprise.
But we just didn't. We couldn't get over the line. K-Mag and was shit. Where did he bottom, wasn't he? Something like that. He was close to the bottom. I'm a K-Mag fan till I die. So it's a bit sad.
That's the funny thing. We didn't talk about Magnussen and Hulkenberg. They're now teammates.
Oh, yeah, and they hated each other.
Yeah. Literally, like the video of them walking up to each other in the post-driver press conference.
Like a dickhead.
He's like, yeah, they just hated each other, which is funny.
Yeah, I don't know why.
But now they're so desperate for an F1 career, they're going to be teammates.
Oh, yeah, they're like, oh, hi. How are you, my friend? Long time no see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're kind of in the mud. Is Mick Schumacher? Who's he reserve driver for? Is he reserve driver?
I don't know if he's reserve. Yeah. I mean, if you're getting let go by Haas,
I was surprised by that. I think he's got talent. I think he's got something in there. Obviously had a points finish.
One. It took him. I think he had the longest streak ever of not having points.
Yeah, but he was in a Haas as well. So let's be real.
But K-Mag came in and scored points straight away.
K-Mag could race for like Mercedes or Red Bull. Let's be real.
Right. Okay.
K-Mag versus Sergio Perez in a Red Bull right now. Who wins?
Perez.
No way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a couple of I think it was just an expected race. There wasn't any shock other than Alonso really. And even before that, everyone was talking about how fast that Aston Martin was. So nobody was really gassing up that result. Like, oh my God, Alonso did it. It was mainly happy for Alonso rather than surprise, I'd say. So yeah, I don't think it was that surprising, if I'm honest. I'm hoping that Red Bull fall off, but it won't. And I'm hoping Mercedes can. What have you been doing? You've had the whole summer or off season or whatever the fuck the break's called. You've had the whole time to just to do whatever you want to fix the horror show of a car you had last year. And what do? Nothing. Oh, didn't talk about Ferrari. Ferrari again.
They finally got rid of the fuckwit that was in charge of strategy.
But shame they didn't get rid of the people making the car because that shitbox blew up again.
Oh God.
Yeah, you can't really. They didn't really address the fact that they had like the most car breakdowns apart from who was the Asian geezer that was in the Alfa
Sonoda? No, Joe.
Yeah, Guanyu Zhou. He had. I mean, that guy got in a non-contact crash every week. He was just like, oh God, I feel bad for the guy. But Ferrari were right behind him. They were terrible last season. Not only in strategy. Strategy was more the end of the season. At the beginning of the season, the car didn't work, even though it was fast. And it's just the same thing happened again. I think they were third and fourth. I don't think they were going to win the race, but still, you can't break down both cars again. It's just embarrassing at this point.
I mean, Red Bull did the same thing last year. First race, I think both cars broke down.
So, yeah, it's the first race again, so you don't know, but it's not great when your car was shit last year, and it's not like
the car was good last year.
Well, the car was fast last year.
Yeah.
It was built of friggin' plastic though. The engine was, I don't know, made out of chocolate. I don't know what the hell is going on in that car, but I think they haven't fixed it up. They're like, cool.
Ferrari are just so riddled by errors. I don't know. They just seem like such a shit team.
Which is weird because, like, in history, they've been like they're
the most prestigious team.
Yeah, they're like the A class of.
Yeah, but it's just I don't know what is wrong with them.
Well, look, we'll see. Hopefully, is there a race this weekend? Whereabouts is it at?
I don't think there's a race this weekend.
Well, hopefully when we get there, it's going to be a good race. Hopefully Max can just not win. That'd be ideal for me. But look, it's a good season. Hopefully it turns out to be a good season. Hopefully Alonso wins. I mean, that'd be the fairy tale sort of ending of the season. And yeah, I'd hope that he'd win because I don't think Haas is going to win. So
really?
We'll give it.
You sure about that?
Yeah, I'm making an early bet.
I wouldn't write him off too early.
You know what I am. I'm making that bold prediction right now. I don't think K-Mag is going to win the championship this year. So, which is a sad thing. So, I'm hoping Alonso wins it.
Yeah, I hope. I don't know who I want to win
because Ricciardo's out. I mean, you're Australian, so you got to pick Piastri.
No.
Come on.
No.
Come
on. No. I think
I
hope Leclerc wins.
Leclerc.
Yeah.
The Monacan geezer, the most privileged guy I've ever seen. I've never heard of a person that was born in Monaco, that wasn't like a billionaire. I mean,
well, he probably is nearly a billionaire.
Yeah, but off racing. I don't know. Was he born in the slums of Monaco?
I don't think there are slums.
Yeah, I don't think there is.
The slum.
Well, the slums in Monaco is a $10 million house.
The slums is the boot of the Ferrari.
Yeah. The slums is driving a Mercedes. That's not a. If you don't drive a Bugatti in Monaco, what are you doing?
I've been to Monaco and there is so many rich people and cars and shit there.
You've been to Monaco?
Yeah.
When did you go?
When I lived in France.
Oh,
we watched the tennis there. Saw Nadal versus Djokovic.
Who won?
Nadal, obviously, was clay.
Oh, okay. Of
course.
Yeah. So can you give us a sort of recap of how Monaco was? It was very rich.
Very rich.
Was it like expensive, or was it just like a lot of richness around you?
Well, I mean, I was a child, so I wasn't really paying for anything, so I'm not too sure on the finances, but it was a lot of rich around you for sure. Like beaches, big buildings, boats, cars.
Sounds like Sydney, bro.
Yeah, but way richer.
Way richer. Oh, I'd take.
We got Nadal's signature.
I'd take the CBD over anything, mate. Oh my god,
Would you?
Beautiful place that is. The Opera House. Oh god. Sydney Harbour Bridge. Beautiful.
Sydney Harbour Bridge.
Beautiful. How I transit to work.
I go over that too many times now. It just annoys me.
Do you go tunnel or bridge? I love this conversation.
No,
by the way.
I get the train, so I go on over the bridge.
Okay, yeah. You don't have a car.
I do have a car, but it's dumb to drive to uni.
Yeah, fair. Anyway, let's get off the transport system of Sydney.
Did you hear about this? That the whole train system.
Oh my god!
The whole train system shut down.
Yeah, he was like, we were going to film this podcast. What was it? A day ago?
Yesterday.
I was like, and he was like, I'm so sorry, the trains are down.
It was like a zombie apocalypse.
It's like, that's kind of like a shit. Like, yeah, trains are delayed by like 5 minutes. I tell a lie, I did look at my social media, but I looked on YouTube and it was like all the news stories were like, fuck it, like everyone just crammed into Central Station.
It was like a zombie apocalypse. They had the grates down for the gates so no one could get in, and there was like hundreds of people.
Get out!
It was literally like World War Z. I've never seen anything like it.
And you had to wait 3 hours for a train, and then Ubers were like $500.
Yeah, so I ended up getting walking to a tram, getting a tram to Wynyard after waiting at Central for like an hour, and then I got a train from Wynyard.
Oh, was Wynyard working?
Either Wynyard was working or the train started working again by the time I got there. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a nightmare for some. It was some people had to wait 3 hours. It was just bad. I mean, it was just shocking. I mean, the Sydney train. Look, I've lived in a couple of places, so to comment on Sydney's public transport, it's not that bad. It's a pretty decent thing because of how accessible it is and how it's basically everywhere, and you can go to the city pretty easily. However, the amount of times I have to do fucking work on that shithole, on these tracks. I mean, every 2 weeks when we go out, there's people on the train. There's people on the tracks doing work, and we can't catch a train. We've got to pay for an Uber. So when you need it to work, it doesn't work. But yeah, that's kind of a shit sort of thing. It's just so. I thought it was just a shit excuse from you. At the time, I was like, oh, okay, whatever, bro. And then you're like, and I looked, I was like, holy shit, he's not lying.
No, it literally took me like 3 hours to get home. So
yeah, that would have been fun. Anyway, moving on to the sport podcast.
Moving on, Johnny Boy, John Jones.
Oh, Johnny Boy. We watched this, by the way. So people calling me a casual.
No one's calling you a casual. No one comments on this, mate.
Well, in their heads, they're calling me casuals. Actually, I know one person who watches this podcast, the one that lives in Queensland, who thinks I'm a UFC casual, which I kind of am. But I did watch the majority of these fights, or the main event fight. No one cares about the fucking undercards. But yeah, I did watch the majority of them. And to be fair, the most interesting one, probably where the Kazakhstani geezer and the fat guy.
Yeah, Shavkat and Jeff.
The guy that weighed 20 pounds over. That was a really good fight. I mean, they just laid hands. And apparently Dana was like, well, I usually don't give bonuses out to people that miss weight by 100 pounds, but I decided, you know what? I'm going to give you a bonus tonight, sir. So
he took 8 years off his life for me, so I'll give him 50k.
Just throw him in the slap leave, chuck another 8 years off. So yeah, I think it was a really good fight night. Bo Nickel, I got there as Bo Nickel won. So I don't think that was surprising.
He won off a nut shot.
Yeah, I did see that later on. He won off a nut shot. That's a bit controversial there. He was like, oh, no, I would never hit him down there. It's like, bro, you clearly did. But yeah, I think nobody's mad at it because they knew he would have fucking destroyed him anyway. It's like, well,
he should have.
yeah, he would have won. So
I think he was maybe the biggest favorite ever.
really,
Yeah.
or was it like you bet $1,000 you get $1 back or something?
It wouldn't. You wouldn't have got a lot back. It might have been like $1.05 or something. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I think he's sort of lined up for that, championship belt very, very soon. A lot of people.
Well,
think,
he's had one fight.
Well, I think a lot of people think that he should be fighting for it. He could fight for it already. Not that he should, but that he definitely could compete at that level because of how good his wrestling is. But we can talk about the main event. Probably the most disappointing fight of the night, just because of how quick it was. But in the end, when you watched it live, you thought, oh, wow, he tapped early. But you watch replays of it, and it's like, well, he's kind of got him pinned under his arm against the cage in a choke. He's not getting out of that. I mean, let's be real. And I think he knew that he was stuck.
Not when he's such a noob at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, he's like, brother, as soon as you get me on the ground, I might as well tap. But yeah, I think someone made a suggestion that he should fight with the Dagestani. He should go to Dagestan.
Who's Cyril?
No, I think maybe Habib said it. I think someone from that,
Yeah, but he said Cyril should go to...
Yeah, he said Cyril should go to Kazakhstan, should go to,
Dagestan.
Russia. Yeah, Dagestan for 2 years to learn.
Okay.
And I'm like...
the thing is, right, in heavyweights, you don't really need to do that with most fights. It's just John Jones can do that to you.
And DC, to be fair.
Yeah, well, he's retired.
Well, yeah, back in the day.
But apart from John Jones and Curtis Blades, you're literally sweet if you can knock people out. So...
Well, yeah, I think it's a bit disappointing from Garn's perspective. Obviously, he'd want to sort of put a big stamp on his legacy if he beat John Jones. But yeah, I think we all wanted to see Francis versus John Jones, but that didn't happen, did it? And if you looked at how that fight went, I expected the Jones and Ngannou fight would have probably gone similar. Maybe he would have lasted a bit longer. Ngannou's better on the ground, but I think John Jones would have still mauled him on the ground.
I have to see more from John because it was so short. You didn't really get to see. You saw obviously he was so much better in the wrestling and jiu-jitsu, so you saw that. But his stand-up didn't look great, to be honest. The little amount we saw, he looked a bit slow, which he's 50 pounds heavy or something, so you probably expect that a little bit. But he didn't look great, to be honest. I mean. The thing at heavyweight is there's not really that many great fighters. It's a pretty thin division, to be honest. I mean, you've got Tai Tuivasa in the top 5, who's been flatlined 3 times in a row. So it's not that deep. You've got Pavlovich coming up. You obviously don't know who he is, but he's a beast coming up. He's probably the only guy maybe that right now could give these top guys a run for their money. I mean, they're giving Stipe the next shot. They've said that, which is... I mean, it has to happen, obviously, because Stipe is the only guy there with a big name, and John obviously wants big name fights. He doesn't want to fight these random dudes on the come up. Yeah. So that fight's got to happen, but whatever the odds are, load up on John Jones. Stipe is going to die.
Yeah, if you bet against John Jones, you're an idiot. So did you bet against?
I didn't bet on it because I was unsure. I wasn't confident picking either way. I definitely thought Cyril Gane would do better, so I was surprised by that, but I wasn't confident either way on who was going to win that fight, but I am confident Stipe Miocic is going to die and then retire.
Yeah, well, he should retire at this point. After getting absolutely... I'm surprised how chinny he was against Francis.
Well...
I mean, he got the amount of... I watched the fight back the other day. He got absolutely slaughtered in that fight, and he still remained standing for most of it. I mean... When you take on those big punch, I mean, you've seen one punch from Francis and people get knocked out. The fact that he stayed alive for that long, I think it's pretty surprising for me personally. But I still think he got a chance of beating Jones, but I would put all my money on Jones as well.
Yeah,
I don't think it's dead in the water, but I think Francis, when he faced Francis for the second time, he was just on a different level.
Yeah, well, I mean, the DC fights obviously took a lot out of him. I mean, he got clean knocked out in one and then took a lot of damage in both the other 2, although he won them. And then the Francis fight. I mean, Francis, in my opinion, I think he's the hardest hitter in combat sports, pound for pound in the world. I think he hits harder than Wilder.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. I mean, Wilder doesn't flatline people the same way.
He does.
He does drop people.
Because he just fucking fought Fury, who just dodged all of them.
No, but I mean, even in his career, I mean, Francis touches you and you go to sleep. Like, that Alistair Overeem knockout, that is fucked. That Rosenstruik knockout, like...
Well, I mean, let's be real. Alistair Overeem was not as basically half the fire he was when he was off fucking roids. So.
He was still good, though, and he was still in his prime back then. And, like, that was... I'm pretty sure that was coming off a title fight, Alistair Overeem, where he lost to Stipe. But then, I don't know, like, because Francis Ngannou isn't punching technically correct or, like, well, really. He just swings and knocks people out. So, if he was to actually be good at fighting, he would be unbeatable, in my opinion.
I think he's good.
He's obviously good, but if you compare him to the best strikers in the world, he's nowhere near them.
Well, yeah, I just don't think that there's that much time in his career to be like learning that.
Well, yeah, I think he's like 37, so...
Yeah, he's got 3 more years left in him, really. And I'm surprised he wouldn't take that big... I mean, I can't believe you don't take that. I mean, the John Jones... what it does for your legacy... What it does for you after your career. I mean, come on. And you're making up this stupid stuff about, well, I want to make sure every fight is paid. Like, shut up, man. You're
going to go to boxing where no one gets paid, except for the main event. So
yeah, it's like, well, you're just trying to get Fury. And Fury was interested in you when you were, like, the heavyweight champ in the UFC. Now you're like now you're just a weirdo on the side with no one. And you're not going to fight. You might fight Wilder, but I don't see you fighting Fury. I don't see Fury coming back for nothing that's not either Joshua or Usyk. I don't think you're fighting Usyk. I don't think you're fighting Joshua. I think the only fighter you're really fighting is Deontay. And I'm sorry, but you're going to lose.
See, I think Deontay is his best chance, although Deontay
it's his best chance, but he still lose. It's not like even though Deontay's been sort of criticized for not being the best technical boxer, he's still been boxing for a very long time. And Francis has been doing UFC for a long time. You see the difference when you go from UFC or mixed martial arts to boxing. It's a very different sort of style. It's very different sort of way you go about it. So I just don't think he's going to beat Wilder, and I think he should have just taken the money from the UFC.
Yeah, it's the way it goes, though, you know.
It's the way the cookie crumbles.
The way it goes. UFC offers you don't take it.
Anyway, next one.
I guess the last one. NRL kicked off last week. Big week of footy. I think it was like the highest rated round 1 ever, I think. Which is, good to see, obviously.
Was it just because there was an extra team?
Bunch of casuals jumping on board, which is always good to see.
Are you a casual?
No.
But you became a Panther supporter when they started winning, though.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
Well before they started winning.
Yeah, I've never heard him speak about the Panthers before.
Really? Okay, well.
Before 2 years ago, so... Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll leave it.
I can find receipts very easily. So
where are the receipts?
Just literally anywhere on my phone I could find.
Oh, no, sorry. I regret saying that. He did go to the grand final where they lost. Because I do have pictures of that, of him crying when they lost. So that was really fun. Really fun moment for me. I loved that game. That was such a fun game. That was just so great. That was
it?
And then like the false hope that you got at the end was so perfect as well. Because you got the experience of getting smashed in a grand final, but then you also got the experience of like, oh, we can actually win, and then you lose. Yeah. That was just so perfect. So yeah, good job, Melbourne Storm. I used to not like you, Melbourne Storm, but nowadays I don't actually mind you. So yeah, a couple of I wouldn't say a couple. Basically, all of the results were somewhat surprising in my opinion. Even if you expected maybe a winner out of that, you didn't expect them to win by as big. So like the Rabbitohs, I didn't expect them to tonk the Sharks.
No Hines.
Yeah, but still, I mean, they were still a great team last year. So yeah, it was a bit surprising. But yeah,
the 2 biggest results were the Panthers losing.
Well, it's Broncos. Queensland dominated. So
yeah, and then the Roosters losing. So
well, look, the Roosters. We'll talk about the Roosters first. The Roosters is just a tough sort of week. In terms of that, we had a lot of players out. I think when it's
had like one player out.
No, Manu. Cryo.
He doesn't count. He's literally gone forever.
No, it's not. But I think I compared it to the Premier League, and when Man United played Brentford at the start of the season, and it was essentially we got blasted. And it was more when Arsenal.
So you think Robbo needs to be sacked?
No, and I think no. Actually, I wouldn't use that comparison. I would use the Arsenal Brentford game when they first got promoted to the league. When there was their first ever experience in the Premier League, they play against one of the Premier League giants in Arsenal at home with the crowd behind them, just packed. They beat them 2-1 or 2-0. I can't remember the exact score, but they beat Arsenal. I think it was something similar. I think it was mainly the fact that it was a new their first time in the league. It was first time in the NRL. They had a packed out Suncorp. All of Queensland was behind them. I feel like it was just set up for them. It was just a really bad time to play them. I think a new team in the league, you don't want to play them round one. And I think that was what we encountered. And look, Kafusi was unbelievable in that game. I've said many times that I do not like that man, but he was unreal in that game. Caused multiple errors that led to tries. Was a really, really good player. And yeah, I think it was just a bit discombobulated from the Roosters, but I like that Arsenal game. I wouldn't count it out, especially because it's round one, but I wouldn't say it's like, oh my God, we're in the shits now. I think it's just, we need to sort of regroup and, just need to not forget about it, but maybe take it as an outlier because of all those external factors that you wouldn't usually experience in an NRL game.
I would say it's more to do with karma than just, the Dolphins being on.
Oh, no, we're not talking about this.
Well, the Roosters are cursed, and that's official.
I don't think we're cursed. I think the Panthers are cursed because you lost round one to... Who did you lose to?
The Broncos.
Yeah, that's right. They didn't even make the 8, so good job, buddy. Good job.
They're a good team, though. Can you name anyone on the Dolphins that is a good player?
Kafusi.
Okay. Kafusi's not a good player.
He played State of Origin for the last 7 years.
He's a grub that's massively overrated.
No, but he's still a great... Even though he's a grub, he's still a great player.
He's not a great player. He does nothing apart from defend all right.
He's a good...
He offers nothing with the ball.
He's an unbelievable defender. And he's great at running onto the ball.
He's trash, mate.
Saying Kafusi is trash is so...
You lost to him.
It's such a bad take.
It's not a bad take.
It's so bad.
He's overrated.
He's literally one of the best forwards in the league. And
he's just not, though.
No, you're confusing him because he's a grub. You're saying that he's bad. You can be a grub and a great player. Like a lot of your players.
Luai is a grub and a great player, but
I wouldn't actually call him. I wouldn't. I mean that guy. I mean, how well did he play all the weekend? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, it's because he had Salmon next to him. Why the fuck are we playing Jamin Salmon?
Yeah, well, your players supported him, so yeah, I think it was just a weekend of surprises. Obviously tonight. What time is it? Oh, in an hour and a bit, it's going to be It's going to be the Rabbitohs
big grudge
Panties.
match. I think we've knocked the Rabbitohs out 3 years in a row, maybe.
Yeah,
in the finals. So we basically own them really in recent years, which is nice because fuck the Rabbitohs, no one likes them either. Not quite as much as the Roosters, but still dislike them a lot. Who's your most hated team other than the Panthers? Because I hate every team.
God, I don't hate any other team other than the Panthers, and that's just because you support them. That's it. And even the Rabbitohs, I don't like at all. Probably the Rabbits, definitely dislike. I don't hate NRL. Like I'm not like a diehard NRL fan, so I don't hate anyone. But like teams that I enjoy losing is your team. Like I don't, even if the Rabbitohs win, I'm not like Rabbitohs win or lose. I'm not like yes or no. I'm not like that because I'm not that big of a. I'm not like a diehard supporter. But when the Panthers lose, oh my God, it's just hilarious. Because you're like you're like a massive Panthers fan, and it's similar to when like Queensland lose with our friend in Queensland. But yeah, I don't have like a significant hate towards any team. I like a couple of Queensland. I like when the Broncos were doing well with Adam Reynolds. I thought that was a sort of fun sort of thing. Like I'm a neutral in many ways when it comes to the NRL, apart from when it comes to the Panthers and Queensland. So apart from those two teams,
apart from the Sharks, I literally hate every team.
Really? Why?
Yeah.
Oh, because of Moiser.
Yeah, obviously.
So you hate the Tigers.
Yeah.
Why do you hate the Tigers?
Because
they're everyone knows they're
annoying.
just nothing. Yeah, but how are they annoying? It's like you. It's so much sympathy that you have towards.
I don't have sympathy for them.
You laugh in our other friend who's a Tigers fan's face when they lose, but like it's so like accepted that they're bad that it's not. You can't even hate them. It's like who hates like the Rockets? Really, they're just like, oh god, you feel bad for them.
But it's different. I don't really hate NBA teams like that, but for some reason in NRL it's like
It's different.
I think it's just because it's a contact sport.
You're like, oh, we got to put a hit on, boys.
Yeah, just
come on, lads.
Fuck everyone else.
Put a hit on.
Although you see that Wade Graham shot, my god.
Well, I didn't see it. No,
You didn't see it.
No.
Basically put on like shot of the year.
He's playing. He's on the field.
Not anymore because he got suspended for 4 weeks. So
God, he's like, oh my god, I get to sit on my couch and I don't have a broken leg. Is that what I'm doing? He's like, this is so weird to me. I'm like resting almost.
And
I don't have to do rehab. I
didn't knock myself out on someone's elbow. So, but it was a crazy shot. He like went flying, and it was a very good tackle. You know, I don't like to see that sort of stuff get suspended, because it's
you want footy.
entertaining.
You want a big hit.
He hit him in the head, I guess. So they gave him 4 weeks, just kind of fucked. But yeah, that was something. Brings me to my next point, which is the big storyline outside of the actual footy and who was winning was the independent doctors and the amount of concussions going on. With I don't know if you saw, but a lot of players were getting taken off with either zero symptoms or like injuries that weren't even concussions.
I did see that. Yeah, I did.
By the independent doctors, so Ricky Stewart came out and said it's the RLPA's fault because they don't trust the coaches and the team doctors and stuff.
Do you want to know who team doctors nobody trusts? Your ones. Your stupid ones that cheat the game. That's why we can't have faith in the trainers to judge it correct. Because we know that your trainers... If your player had basically his head chopped off, they'd still send him out there.
Ours has nothing to do with concussions.
No, but...
That was ankle injury.
No, but nothing still, nobody likes your trainers. That's why.
It's one dude.
Yeah, that's why he's not being fired yet.
He's a legend.
He's such a cheat.
He's a legend.
Yeah, nobody trusts trainers because of you and your trainers.
Nobody trusts trainers because they want to win the footy game more than they care about the player.
No, only your trainers think about that.
All trainers.
Yeah, your player had like a twisted ankle. He's like, mate,
stop the game. That's good. We need to check on the health. Yeah. That's what you're meant to do.
Oh God, your trainers are the reason why no one has faith in trainers. That is the reason.
No, I think the reason is that people aren't taking them off for the HIAs when they should.
Yeah, I don't think you should get doctors to do it though.
But yeah,
because doctors are going to be like, "Oh my God, you got to get him off. He's broke his arm." You know,
but
doctors take everything too seriously.
Yeah, and it's literally deciding results of the games because the Knights game it was close. They took Ponga off because he bumped his head, which is like you're gonna bump your head. You're playing rugby league. But he wasn't concussed or anything.
I think it should be quick test. In cases like that, you should have like quick tests on the sideline of quick cognitive tests.
But the people are watching it in a booth. They're not able to do quick tests. They just watch a video and they say take them off.
Why can't you have independent doctors on the sidelines? Get independent.
That would be better.
Get independent doctors on the sidelines. If you see something in the booth that may have led to a concussion, make them do a quick fucking assessment there. Who cares? Why do you need to take them to the back? To do all these tests, were they shoving fingers up their bum? I mean,
I think they make them walk in a straight line.
Yeah, just do. Why can't people just see that? That doesn't have to be go to the locker room, get a drink, come back, go for a shower, go for a piss, come back. You don't need to do that. You just need to have on the sideline, a bit of cognitive test. Maybe walk in a straight line, do flicking of the ear. I don't know what the hell cognitive test.
Just look at them.
Have a conversation. Do it for a minute, and then if they do it for 30 seconds. If they're good, send them back out there.
Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious to look at it. When they get up, if they look sweet, they're sweet. If they're stumbling, then take them off. It's because it did decide games. I mean, that game was close. Ponga went off, and then Newcastle go on to lose the game at the end. So, for me, it's annoying when players get taken off, and you can just see it happening in a massive game at the end of the year. Yeah, they come in and ruin a game with it.
Of course,
so
a fucking cheating team would do it as well.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with us. It's an independent doctor.
Yeah, but your team doctor would be like, mate, he needs to stay on the field for his...
Our team doctor would be like, what? The radio's not working. What?
I can't hear you. You say stay on. Is he good?
He's good?
Oh, he tries to take the opposition player on. Oh, I thought you meant him.
Cleary just falls head first. He's like, what? He's good?
Oh, Kiri. Oh, I think you said Kiri, not Cleary.
Salmon. You want salmon off?
James Salmon. Get off. Oh, Jamie, come on. And then Cleary just stumbling around. Like, no, Salmon, you're off, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be your fucking trainer.
Yeah, what a legend. Love that guy.
He literally the most
hero
hated.
of the club. He should get a pay rise and he should be immortalized.
He is by your like grubby fans. He is.
He was in the Panthers doc. I don't know if you watch it. Probably didn't. You probably didn't.
Oh yeah, I watched that. Dude, I'm into that Panthers doc.
Well, yeah, and he was like one of the main characters because they were all. It was all about who's injured leading up to the grand final, all that sort of stuff, and he was talking about it. And he seems like a very nice guy, very knowledgeable as well.
Oh,
yes.
does he? Well, look, I'm not simply blaming him because he obviously got orders from his grubby head coach as well. But like the way that he's he's literally like went to school. He's got a degree in like physical therapy or whatever. He has probably a doctorate in it, and he is literally. He should be bound by that. He should be bound by his morals. But no, let's do whatever the friggin' head coach tells me to do. Which I mean, I guess
they all do that though.
I know, but like. To an extent, you've got to be like, no, mate, you can't, like, this is an ankle injury. It's fine. You can't stop the play and break the rules for an ankle injury. It's just, you can't do that when the other team's on the break and about to score a try. But yeah, look, hopefully that they can get independent doctors on the sideline so they can do it quick. I don't mind them doing HIA. I think obviously HIAs and head injuries need to be taken seriously, but
well, for me,
you need to just do it quickly. You need to do it. It needs to be snap. I'm sure you can do it quickly. 30 seconds, get them back on there.
I don't mind a little HIA, not being done either.
What do you mean?
To be honest, well,
just let them die.
Are the older generation all vegetables?
You listen to Gordon Tallis?
I mean, he's dumb, but he seems all right in the head.
I don't think you've listened to Gordon Tallis. I think he's a bit in the. He's been. In the
mean,
sky.
Joey Johns, I can kind of see it. He's a bit out there, but
no, I love Joey.
That's probably because of his colourful off the field lifestyle.
Shout out to Joey.
But I mean, I don't really see all these older players like dropping dead or having massive issues post footy. Obviously, I don't know any of them, but I don't really see many news stories about it. And I think this generation already have been protected so much more. Like you're seeing,
yeah, but I think they should. I mean, let's be real.
Yeah, but it doesn't need it. Like if they're really knocked out cold, then sure, take them off. But
I think that the game isn't old enough for you to know.
It's pretty old.
Yeah, but I think that like they were also like there's more head collisions now though. There's more like head injuries now because of the way that we tackle.
Well, I think it's just we're realizing more head injuries. Like these things were happening all the time, but players would just get up and play on.
Yeah, maybe.
We're seeing players retire. Obviously, the Roosters, all of their players will.
Well,
retire.
I mean, you got to look out for that.
I mean, Victor Radley again, brother. Can someone teach that guy how to tackle?
He's probably the best tackler in the league.
No, he has zero technique. He just throws himself at people.
Yeah, that's called being a footy player, mate.
He's going to retire. He's ruining his career.
Player. I don't know. Stop slagging off my players.
He's ruining his career.
Stop slagging off my players.
He doesn't know how to tackle.
I love Victor. So yeah, I think that it needs to be taken seriously. Unlike this idiot who thinks you just chuck him out there. You know, just let him die.
I do think it needs to be taken seriously, but I just don't enjoy when it ruins the game,
unless it's against your team. Are you not okay tonight? If one of the opposition, who are you playing again? I forgot. Rabbitohs. Is Latrell playing?
Mm-hmm.
If Latrell Mitchell has a head injury, are you saying nah? Keep him on, or are you going?
Well, no, it depends. If he's fine, then
okay. So when he's heading off for the HIA in the locker room, are you going? Oh fuck! Why is this happening? We need to have players out there. Or are you thinking, yes, get in there. We can take advantage.
Yeah,
of this.
when I'm my team's playing against it, sure.
So yeah, you're biased to it. So if it's not your team,
but if I'm watching Roosters Sharks on a Friday night or something, and Tedesco goes off or Moylan goes off, then I'm like,
well, yeah, if Moylan goes off, you're crying yourself to sleep.
If Moylan goes off, I'm turning the TV off. Right? He's the only reason I'm there.
So yeah, I think it needs to be taken seriously, but I just think it should be an independent doctor on the sideline. But who am I to judge? I am not a doctor. Anyway, so yeah, we completely ignored the most terrible thing of the week, which was fantastic. Good job, team. That didn't happen. If you wanted to know, I think Man City, did they win? I think Man City won. I think Arsenal won late.
So the title race, title race is on?
I think that was it. Yeah.
Is the title race on?
No, Arsenal
No?
won. I think they were 2-0 down or something. But yeah.
But the FA Cup's still on.
Yeah, FA Cup. And Man United are playing the Europa League. We didn't play last week. I don't know why we didn't play. That was a weird one. They
got a good draw. Like they got some shit club.
I think we got Betis, Real Betis.
Real trash.
Got Spain. Got those Spaniards again. Let's just knock them back in the ground like we knocked Barcelona in the ground.
Couldn't knock Liverpool in the ground.
Nope. Which was not the greatest experience.
Like Liverpool is so shit, and they looked good.
Yeah, they just got beat by 5-2 at home to Real Madrid.
Yeah,
who are 7 points behind Barcelona, who we just beat.
It's like MMA math. I saw a thing.
MMA math.
I saw a thing.
John Jones could lose to Mighty Mouse.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, through MMA math, Jake Paul is the UFC heavyweight champion.
Well, he beat Tyron Woodley, who beat.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I don't know what are you saying. Talking Liverpool. Liverpool play on the weekend.
Yeah, I think like Salah scored.
Is Salah? Who did they play?
Like a red team.
A red team. Oof. Brentford. They play Brentford.
No.
They didn't play Arsenal because I know they beat Bournemouth.
No, like Gakpo tore it up.
Who's
I'm
that?
pretty sure.
Is he? Sounds like a weird name. Is he English?
No, he's not English.
What
it's
is
actually a Dutch.
A Dutchie. Well, good job at Liverpool. I don't know who they played, but yeah, it is what it is.
No.
They're still 7 points behind us.
Like they scored 7 goals.
Yeah, 7 points behind us, though. So who cares? At the end of the day, and we got a game in hand.
You gotta hope that you hold on to that.
Hope to hold on to it. We lost one game. We won our last 20 games. So look, no. At the end of the day, you lose some, you win some. Look, probably the one team you don't want to lose 7-0 to is Liverpool, because you'll be remembered forever for how bad that result is. I mean, you don't want to lose 7-0 to anyone.
No.
But to Liverpool is not the greatest thing in the world. But yeah, I mean, look, we've got plenty of chances to win the Europa League, so lovely. I'm just depressed. All right, see you later, everybody. Hope you watched the podcast and hope you watched it.
Subscribe,
I mean,
and like.
Hope you don't watch Man United. God, I won't. I don't think I can watch the game. We got a game tomorrow. I don't think I can watch it. It's not. I'm scarred. I can't watch these players. It's scarring to me. But anyway, yeah.
Peace out, everyone.
All right, bye.
Thanks for watching.
Subscribe.